We're going to go for a break now. Focus. I'm honoured today to be joined by the Mufti of Rwanda, Sheikh Saleh Habimana, the spiritual leader of over 1 million Muslims in Rwanda. Sheikh Saleh Habimana, Salam alaikum and welcome to Islam Channel.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Thank you for having me around here.
Now, when most of us here in the West hear or talk about Rwanda, we think of the shocking story of genocide, which saw just over 1.2 million innocent men, women and children massacred by neighbours. And in cases where there was a mixed marriage, Hutus and Tutsis, husbands and fathers killed wives and their own children over a 10-day period in April 1994. When the violence broke out, you, as the most respected Muslim leader in the country, issued a fatwa forbidding Muslims from participating in the killing of the Tutsi. What role generally did Muslims and the country's mosques play in this ghastly episode?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyid al-Mursaleen Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you for this question and thank you again for having me around here to be able to share with the viewers and the lovers of Channel Islam to be able to understand what took place and the Muslim resistance during genocide of 1994, which claimed over 1 million lives of our innocent Tutsi people with no good reason behind it. Once we talk about genocide in Rwanda, we need to understand that the behavior of the Muslim community in Rwanda was not only in 1994. In fact, Muslims behaved the same in 1959 when the first test of genocide took place in my country, a country of Thousand Hills. So Muslims also by then behaved the same, and lucky enough, even those who were saved to run away from the country through the blessings of the Muslims and the hands of the Muslims and driving people from among the Muslim community were able to run away, going into exile, Uganda, Burundi, Tanzania, and elsewhere. So Muslims behave the same right from 1959. And as you know, every 10 years from 1959, we had small genocides up to the biggest blow of genocide, 1994, in which we lost over 1 million in 100 days. Muslims also were behaving in the same manner, having their homes as a safe haven, having their mosques as a safe haven, having their own facilities as poor as they are, but to be able to share little they have with the people in need.
Now, what was unique about the Muslim community in this rather volatile situation? You've described how genocide seems to have taken place on a number of occasions from 1959 leading up to the extreme case in 1994. And in fact, why did the Christian Hutus not pursue their victims into Muslim areas?
This is another question which people need to understand. Why Muslims were so smart enough and strong enough, and why they were sending signals of fears into the hearts of militias, into the hearts of the Hutus. Hutus were not able to enter our homes. Hutus were not able to enter our mosques. The reason behind it is that divisionism which took place in my country right from 1959. Our government, the government had its mind, the government which had a culture of bloodshedding each and every time and each and every 5 to 10 years. The same government taught our fellow brothers and sisters, those who are Christians, that do not enter the homes of Muslims, do not enter the mosques, because these places are full of devil. Do not open the Holy Quran, because once you read the Holy Quran, you will go crazy. Do not shake hands with a Muslim, because first of all, these Muslims touch with their own hands their private parts, so they are dirty. And again, once you shake hands with them, you shall go crazy. As you know, a Muslim, we are a first generation of Muslims in Rwanda. You join Islam in the morning, you lose your citizenship in the afternoon. You're a second-class citizen. And then you are kept in the ghettos and slums. And each and every ghetto or slum is protected by the biggest barracks in the region to control the movement within those areas, Swahili camps. So you are not allowed to get out of that slum without written permission from the rulers. And your fellow brothers and sisters who are still in Christianity, they are not allowed to come and visit you without a written permission. So as a result, these teachings and divisionism which took place in my country has created in people's mind that our homes and mosques are full of devil. Once they touch the places, they'll go crazy. Once they touch us, they will be dirty and crazy again, because we are also devils, moving devils on earth. So as a result, in 1994, nobody could dare to come to our homes because they know there are so many shaitans, there are so many jinns in our homes. Nobody can dare to come to the mosque because they know this is the place for jinns and devils. So they'll be fighting with the spirit. And as you know, they're scared of spirit normally. They are very, very scared of spirit. So as a result, nobody really could come to our homes or even follow.
So it wasn't a case of there being such extreme reverence at the gates of the mosques or the homes of Muslims. It was a question of them being terrified and in fear.
Terrified for a very long time. 40 years of the same teachings. Do not shake hands. Do not go to visit them. Do not go there. We are not allowed to come from our slums. They are not allowed to come and visit us. So as a result, we had also that protection from the Almighty Allah, protecting His own homes of the Muslims and protecting His own mosques on the ground.
But the tensions and the ethnic divisions go back much further than that. I mean, I wonder if you can help our viewers to understand. I understand that, for example, that the history of those tensions goes back to pre-colonial era, before the Germans and the Belgian rule in the region. Where did this originate, and how did this sort of, what I think was referred to as a sort of Hamitic apartheid system come into being?
Yes, very good, very good. You see, the problem after the World War I and the departure of German people was the arrival of Belgians. But unfortunately, Belgians came into my country carrying the same luggage of problems of their own country. It is a country also with the two tribes, Wallows and Flammers. These two tribes don't go along except on the capital city, Brussels, and the national soccer team is where they get together. Apart from that, one speaks French and one speaks German. And they don't look eye to eye. So the same problems they had back at home was brought into my country. That's number one. Number two, the same people introduced also the grade type of system. Once you have 10 cows, you're a Tutsi. And once you're a farmer, you're a Hutu. Naturally, rich people are very few. Everywhere in the world, including America and here London. Rich people are very few. So the wealth was measured by the head of the cattle. So once you have 10, you're a Tutsi. Up to almost early 50s, that was system. So whoever had that amount of cattle, they wrote into his identity card that this is a Tutsi. Ignoring that we come from the same roots, we speak the same language, we share the cultures, we share the culture in the good days and bad days. We share the same culture, burying our beloved ones or celebrating the weddings. We share the same culture. And yet, because of cows, so many amount of cows, you are a Tutsi, and they wrote in your identity card that you are a Tutsi. So this is the situation which was brought into our country by colonial masters, and more especially Belgium.
So that culture favoured the privileged?
Yes, yes.
Now, what about the Muslims who were in existence? I know they were small in number, but did they suffer from persecution and deprivation and isolation?
Normally Muslims suffered all along, right from the first day of the first white person into my country. That goes late 1890, somewhere there. So Muslims normally, they were denied the right to access education in the law of 1925, mentioning that Muslims are not allowed education, are not allowed to possess a land. For them, they will be just hiring a piece of land 20 by 20 meters in the slums. So by law, you are denied your right. First of all, if you don't have a land in Africa, then you are a poor. You are a poor, and your children will inherit from you the poverty. So we were marginalized by law, not by people maybe who are bad or somehow, by law of a white man in my country. They said these guys, they need to be kept in the slums and they don't have anything to do with the Rwandese community. We're considered as a second-class citizens of the land.
And in effect, that's how the Muslim community has stayed up until 1994.
Oh, yes. Maybe you can say there was a bit of change upon democracy in 60s. They said everybody, I guess, he's free to move freely in his own country. But that was even more worse than the previous one. Because at least the previous one, we knew we had no right. So this was telling us, you have a right, but which is not given to you. You see? Which is not given to you at all. So they kill you morally. They keep telling you, you are a cause of the problems. You are a Swahili person. You speak Swahili. You are so dirty. They tell you bad issues all the time. They insult you all the time. They make you as a problem in the country. All the time. They consider your book to be a book of devil. All the time. They say you are a shaitan. You are a Satan. You know? So these were the things after at the beginning of democracy up till 1994. So to me, I take that period to be even worse than the period of white men, because at the time of the white men, we knew we had nothing to do with Rwanda. But now here democracy, here president from our own skin, here a man coming from our own homes, elected by people, and yet he's telling us we have a right, and right is not delivered. As a result, in Rwanda, we had the first minister, foreign affairs minister, and his name was Andre Bomaya. Why was he Andre Bomaya? Because to be able to get into St. Andre's School, he had to change his name. And there are many of the same nature. Yes.
Now, to go back to the incident of genocide, it was reported that Christian religious leaders, pastors, priests, bishops, actually took a key role in perpetrating and then covering up the genocide, often claiming that the actions were acts of divine inspiration. To what degree has that complicity at the highest level been responsible for what became afterwards an enormous exodus from the Christian church?
It's true. Again, unfortunately, the religious leaders of Rwanda, we have decided to take a collective responsibility towards the problems of our own country, because genocide was planned, carried out, and stopped by Rwandese people. It's the only genocide which a very small number of people were able to stop. The recent one of Bosnia, they had to bring America and London and France and everybody to go and stop genocide. Maybe there were also some strategic interest to be able to send the troops over there, because some big countries and the superpowers, they said for Rwanda, we don't have strategic interest to send our soldiers to go and die in Rwanda as they died in Somalia. So I guess also some strategic interest to be able to go to Bosnia, but they didn't come to us. But nevertheless, Rwandese people were able to stop genocide. So once it was planned by Rwandese, carried out by Rwandese, stopped by Rwandese, all of us Rwandese, even the one who is a survivor, even the one who stopped genocide, even the perpetrators, even the released prisoners, we are all answerable before our country to make sure we take a collective responsibility to make sure never again of ours is really a true one. Now, unfortunately, as I have said, there was a few number of fathers and pastors and nuns who let their hands with the blood of their own followers, unfortunately. And as a result, as I've said, it was another reason for many people to leave Christianity into maybe other faiths or living without any faith, unfortunately. But we hope the declaration of the Rwandese religious leaders in 2006, before our president, we said, and it was his own statement, he said, never again will the religious leaders be on the other side of peace. So for the sake of our country, for Rwanda, Africa, and the entire universe, we shall be forever on the side of peace.
Now, at that time, 16 years ago, the Muslim population in Rwanda was estimated to have been about, I think, 0.8%, you said, of the total 8.2 million Rwandans, yes, with the dominant religion being the Catholic religion, but there being other religions as well. Now, the size of the Muslim community has grown since then to something in the region of 15% of the population. This is a transformation of epic proportions, probably seen nowhere else in recorded history. How do you explain that rise?
Yes, the rise will have many reasons, but again, we'll have to mention that before genocide, the national census of our country was putting us on 0.8%, as you have said correctly, and the recent one of Rwanda 2003 is putting us on 4.8%. But worldwide, people consider Muslims in Rwanda to be already on 15%, which I guess might be or might not be. But all in all, there was a very sharp rise of the Muslim community in Rwanda. The reason being, one, Muslims, they survived genocide. Very small number of them died in genocide. That's number one. Number two, we had many Hutus joining Islam just after genocide, saying that once we look like a Muslim, we perform our prayers, we go to the mosques, everybody around the country will say this individual has no bloods in his hands. So for the Hutu, it was about purification from the Rwandese blood. Now, the Tutsi was also joining Islam, saying that once I join Islam and genocide takes place again, I will never die, because Muslims don't die in genocide. So for this one here, it was about protection. So as a result, we had a sharp rise, people joining Islam. But unfortunately, again, as you know, it was inheritance of poverty within our own homes and our own communities. In Africa, whoever joins any faith, any religion, there are two reasons behind his affiliating to this type of religion. It will be either medication or education. These two facilities are not available within the Muslim community of Rwanda. So as a result, Rwanda now is no longer punishing somebody on the sins committed by somebody else. So for the Hutu, they don't have a reason to hide their identities, because Rwanda will never punish any Hutu because of criminals who are roaming around the world, including these Western countries. So for them, they are moving again back into their faith, because they say there is no longer a cry to purification. You see? A Tutsi the same, because our never again is never again. We shall never see blood again unless the blood the lives which have to end according to Allah's decisions. So for them also, the protection is no longer there. It's no longer an issue. So some of them also are going back to their faith, because Islam does not provide the services needed by the people, including medication and education. But still we can say we have experienced a sharp rise in these few 16 years.
Now, you've described a whole range of what they might have called push and pull factors. On the one side, by becoming Muslims, they cut themselves off from access to education and medication. On the other side, they can be purified, at least in the short term, from the association with sins, even if they didn't themselves commit them. Now, and you're saying that there's been a small case of a filtering back as things have settled. It wasn't just a case, for most though, I imagine, of just changing the colour of the jacket they were wearing, because Islam is a way of life.
Yes.
And I imagine that for many, they were, by being introduced and by partaking, the change was more radical than just superficial. Is that something that you are finding? Again,
we have got a quite good number of people. As you have said, we were only 0.8% before genocide, and today the census is putting us on 4.8%. And again, the census, must remember, the census in Africa will only consider the names to make judgments on the faith.
Yes.
You see, and in Rwanda, it's not easy for a person to change from Christianity into Islam and be able to change even his name. They don't really change the names. So you might find a person by the name of George, and he's already Muhammad.
Yes.
So again, the censor might not really deliver the same figure on the ground, because of the names.
But you've said, I think when we were talking the other day, you said that the rate of reversions or conversions from Christianity to Muslims was still continuing at a rate of about 500 a month. Is that right?
Yes. We have got our own centers where we train new Muslims, and we call them Markaz al-Muhtadin al-Judud. These markaz, the host between 100 to 200 at a time. So these are working right through from 1994 to date. They're in operations. But as I've told you, Islam being the poorest faith in Rwanda, we still have a problem of people who are in need to be able to meet their needs. So as a result, the normal person who join Islam might also sometime go back to where he will be able to be supported in terms of education or otherwise. But we still have also the same good people who are above the need, people who joined Islam because they said, no, this is a faith. This is a faith. 1959, our forefathers were able to run away from this country because of this faith. And the other side again, this is a faith. The faith which is not involved at all in genocide. And there are many factors also. There are many factors. I guess maybe you'll be able to ask them, but there are many factors of Muslims not getting involved in genocide. There are many factors. So as a result, this beautiful faith, this powerful kitab, Quran and Sunnah, these wonderful places of worship where we don't have blood at all, where nobody could dare to hide a machete and kill afterwards. So these are the places where everybody is feeling comfortable. They feel comfortable. But as I've told you, we still, as a Muslim of Rwanda, suffering from marginalization of 100 years, just being free from 1994 to date. In fact, the Islam of Rwanda is at the same age with the government of national unity. You see? So the achievement we realize is in the same path with whatever the government is realizing.
We're going to go for a break now.